Hello and welcome to Saturday Morning Cartoons, the weekly podcast that revisits, reviews, and ridicules some of the world's weirdest animated series. I'll be your host, Dave Trumbore. With me today, as always, Sean, the Sean Boss, Ellis. How you doing tonight, sir?
David. I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm feeling like a hybrid, crazy truck machine plant buzzsaw creature. I'm feeling exactly like that. I know it's a little on the nose, but that's how I'm feeling tonight.
Well, that can only mean one thing, that we watched Jayce and the Wheeled Warriors.
Yeah, we sure did. Notice we didn't say we enjoyed it, but we did watch it, so that's half the battle.
Now, if you can tell that there was a deep sigh
I could
that
hear
came
that.
up, I will introduce one of our guests.
Please do.
I have I have a local filmmaker, Tony Lazzaroni, with me as a returning guest. Tony, welcome back.
Welcome back,
Thank
Tony.
you very much. Thank you for having me on the show, but not so much for making me watch this Steven
Yeah, we hear that a lot, usually from ourselves or from anybody else who happens to be on this show. So,
This is why you don't have returning guests.
oh, that explains it. Explains so much.
Way to be a downer.
Uh, and that dulcet tone is a local stand-up comedian and improviser, Jamal Newman. Welcome, Jamal.
Hello. Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Please come back next time. I don't know how this is going to go, but just
I would love to be a returning guest. Unlike the guy across the table. No problem. Schedule's open.
yeah, preemptive welcome back.
That's all I'm saying. Schedule's open. Book me.
Hey man, the fact that you decided to still stick around after watching this mess, that speaks volumes.
Well, more to vent.
This is what we call a support group.
Yeah. This show,
It's really turning into an intervention. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was gonna say this is like our Robert Paulson moment where we just get to hug it out and just be like, I'm real sorry, guys. Like, but I feel like if we've survived Jayce and the Wheeled Warriors, we've probably survived anything.
Hey,
I
who,
watched.
who suggested this one again?
That was me.
curious. Oh, that was you. Oh, yeah.
He set you up for his own layup.
Yeah, no. Just dunk it right in my fucking.
No, it's fine. You'll do it right to me next week, I'm sure.
Yeah, I was actually thinking. I was like, we have. It seems like for the next 2 weeks, we have kind of. I know we had New Year's Nicktoons. For the next 2 weeks, it seems like we have a fortnight of nights.
Ooh, we do. That's a stretch and a half.
No. It's a factual. We've got like 2
It is
weeks
factual.
It's like very like shut up.
It's factual. I was going to go with a fortnightmare, but that's fine. We can go with fortnight of nights.
Fortnightmare.
Fortnightmare.
Oh, that works even better.
Yeah, either one.
But yeah, we've got 2 shows that are involved with a decent amount of royalty and some knights and people acting in a BS regal manner that nobody gives a shit about.
You know what we should do? Since you mentioned that, I didn't even think about that, but we should add. We should what now?
Just venting.
Oh, just venting, recording and broadcasting and venting.
It's cool.
No, I was thinking we should add Arthur and the Knights of Justice or something like that. Whatever.
Oh
that-
man.
Yeah,
might do
that
on the
one.
fly.
Yes.
Yeah.
We know you also messaged me before the show, Dave, and you brought up a good point about there was like an aspect of this show,
Right.
Jayce and the Wheeled Warriors, that when you watched it, you were just like, oh fuck, I now want to watch Ronin Warriors.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I remember that show very fondly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one had
very
it had like a rebirth kind of in the late '90s or maybe even early 2000s when I think it was Toonami kind of brought it back around. But yeah, we'll definitely visit that one too. I don't know if we'll work it into the schedule this month, but for now, talking about Knights, if you want to know how we get to that with Jayce and the Wheeled Warriors, ooh boy, we'll get to that in a second. You guys want to hear a little bit of history on this show?
Yeah, absolutely.
Or actually, just feel free to just like take a snooze while I go through this for the listeners out there. There you
oh
go.
no. So Dave, fill us
So
in
sweet.
about this.
All right, Jayce and the Wheeled Warriors. It is a French and North American animated TV show, first broadcast on September 16th, 1985. Much like we talked about in the last episode, this had a one-season, 65-episode order. So
Gotta
pretty much
hit that 65 episode rule.
gotta hit it. So it ran from September to December that year. That was it. It was a Deke Entertainment show. Our friends at Deke.
Friends of Deke.
Yeah, produced by Deke, animated by all of Japan. All of Japan chipped in on this one.
Everybody chipped in one drop.
Everybody chipped in one cell.
Everybody did one guy thing.
Thank you very much for being on the show.
It was our Japanese animation studio press representative chiming in there. Appreciate that.
Doing the voice animation.
Ugh.
Yeah, as you might have guessed, this one was also created to support a Mattel toy line. Actually, the toys came first, and then they left it up to some poor schlub to try to slam a story together after this. I don't think they were successful, having watched this show, but I feel bad for the people that had to do this. Actually, one of the... Yeah, go ahead.
I will say that they were successful in selling me some of these toys.
Did you buy these toys?
You own some of these?
Yeah, I own some of these. They're out in my garage.
Are they growing? Are they continuing to grow like a chia pet from hell?
I feel like these should be on the table right
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I went downstairs and I was looking for some stuff, but I was sadly unsuccessful.
I have Skeletor here.
I don't know if it's like if it's here or if it's back at my mom's house. But I own the battle base.
Really? The massive
I
thing?
own, I own the whole battle base like playset there.
That's pretty crazy.
Does it like unfold?
Don't want to brag, shirt collar pull, but I am.
A terrible brand.
Of all the things to brag about. I have the battle base from Jayce and the Wheeled Warriors.
I don't even have Jayce.
I'm gonna tell you this: in 1985, that crushed with all the ladies on the program.
I'm sure it literally did. It just landed on them because it's massive.
It's
Like a move in the cartoon.
I love that strategy. Getting so far ahead of ourselves, but they're just like, hey, the giant machine, crush all the other things by flattening them.
Up, down.
Go up and then go down again. And that's the end of the show. But I do feel bad for one guy that was involved with this show by the name of J. Michael Straczynski. I originally had a plan to just kind of go off on a tangent and talk about a bit of his career, because he started by writing a spec script for He-Man. They actually loved it, and they brought him on as a staff writer, which is like unheard of, especially this day and age. But back in the early 80s, they were like, fuck, nobody except kids is watching this, so yes, please come write for us. So he did...
They'll never know.
Yeah, exactly. He did He-Man. When he didn't get a story credit on He-Man, actually, Filmation didn't want to give him on-screen credit for his writing. He left and he went to this pile of shit. So he worked on the majority of episodes for Jayce, and then went on to do a number of other things. He's done a lot of live-action TV, he's done movies, and a lot of other cartoons in the future too. But feel bad for that guy. Feel bad for that guy.
I'm glad. You know what? But I will say, like, it is a true hero story that he's able to persevere after having lived through Jayce and the Wheeled Warriors. I mean, I feel like that, because everybody has like that moment.
Right.
Like everybody has that moment in their life where they're just like, man, I gotta get out of this job. I have to aspire to bigger and better things. Like I gotta move up, or I just gotta go home and just shut up. And I feel like Jayce was his like put up or shut up moment.
Well, I mean, look, he had a break-in with a spec script. He had a break-in with a spec script from out of nowhere that he'd sent directly to the producers, and we're like, all right, come on and write for He-Man. And then, that's a start. Like, that's a foot in the door. I mean, that's how you get your start in kind of shitty things like that. And then, you got to grind through some stuff for a while. But there he is. He has a quote about getting this concept pitch from the toy makers and then trying to actually turn it into something. So his quote, at least according to Wikipedia, is he wanted to hijack a dopey concept and make it into something more. Now, I don't know if he succeeded. I don't know how bad this concept started off to begin with, or what he kind of like built around. But as he started to kind of get into the show a little bit more, you could tell there was at least somebody that wanted to try to write something worthwhile. They just had garbage to work with. So it's kind of unfortunate. But for fans out there who are wondering, we'll talk about the show, what exactly it's about in a little bit. But because this never got renewed or picked up for multiple seasons, there was never really a finale. There was no conclusion. There was no resolution to it. But there was a movie that was planned in the vein of like Transformers, G.I. Joe, that kind of thing. So Straczynski did actually script out the movie. And I'm going to turn it over to Sean, who's going to let you know what the show's actually about, and then I'll come back with what the movie was going to be about in a second.
Okay, so the plot of Jayce and the Wheeled Warriors follows Jayce, Flora, Herc, Storm Sailor.
Oh boy.
Yeah,
What a dick.
What a rip-off dick.
A real John Bobbitt right there.
Oh, the original rip-off dick.
I want to say a mixture of a Ren Fair midget and the iOS game Wind Up Night.
I don't get either one of these references. But I'll laugh.
And Gillian, and they're searching. It's that classic. This is kind of very similar to Pirates of Darkwater in the sense that like they are questing after Jayce's father. But I just realized, as I said,
Yeah, no, that's why I had an issue when you said that earlier. I'm like, this is nothing. Like,
no, I realized that as I said that I'm a dummy and I should just be dumb.
no, look, in the sense that it's like kind of an otherworldly setting, and there's some kind of like sort of mystical weirdness to the whole thing. Yes. In Pirates of Darkwater, his father shows up and the ocean sucks him back out, which is hilarious.
Yeah,
In
which is the best scene in the whole show.
this is more like, what was it, Galaxy Rangers, that they were looking for the guys, like the Colonel's wife the whole time,
Yeah.
and never found her, and this is a very similar thing. They're just looking for the kid's dad.
She did.
Oh, she did.
She did. You don't search for 65 episodes for somebody and think that she's still gonna be alive. The only reason you search is you're just like, well, she's an attractive white woman. We gotta keep a search.
Yeah, we got to keep her on all the headlines and all the TV screens.
They could have gone for the Gone Girl ending with that one.
Oh no. Oh god. That would have been very weird. So anyway, so Jayce's father, Audric, had the noble intent of being able to create a food source that would end hunger.
Right.
And he decides that he's going to do this like in another dimension, or like out like.
Yeah, I don't know if they ever
like,
really explained that. They were just kind of like out
yeah, they
somewhere
didn't. They
weird.
threw that in, and I was just like, well, that doesn't. Oh, whatever. I
Yeah,
don't
whatever.
care.
Yeah.
So he finds this research station. He's beginning to do his work. He's perfecting it, and then he gets hit with like some type of like weird space radiation.
Yeah, there was a supernova. So there was a star that went supernova apparently, and that caused the radiation to do what?
It created all of these terrible botanical creations that are just. I don't know. I don't even know where to begin with this one.
It looks like
there were moments where like they introduced it, and then 30 seconds later they were just like, and then we hit them with lightning, and they turned into organic like vehicles, and I was just like, oh come on, Mattel. Like
they just kept going on the crazy train with this one, because it starts off kind of like, all right, that's a bit of a stretch, but I'm okay with it, and then they push it so far that you're just like, what the fuck is going on in this show? What are they doing? There's so much craziness.
Well, I mean, they create this race called monster minds.
Yes.
And so they are like these plant-like extraterrestrials that they morph and form into these like vehicles. Then like these vehicles clearly have like these like kind of like root stem, kind of like a what are those fish that have sort of like the lantern fish?
Yeah, anglerfish.
The anglerfish.
Yeah.
Thank you. Kind of like an anglerfish. They kind of have like a weird tentacle on top of them that then like has whatever the dangerous weapon that particular vehicle is going to use.
It really just looks like a G.I. Joe vehicle with a chia pet on top.
That's exactly what it is. Like the world's most dangerous chia pet, and so many tentacles, many vine tentacles in the show. It clearly came from Japan.
Not enough
And
tentacles.
some might say not enough tentacles. Yeah, so many tentacles.
That person would be Sean. He would be saying not enough tentacles.
That hentai.
look at it, just always looking for those tentacles.
Definitely never rule 34 this one, by the way, because the feds might come knock down your door.
Oof.
Yeah, so if I don't see you guys or talk to you for a while, that's where I've gone.
Wait, what is Rule 34?
Oh no!
What?
Oh no!
No, how do you not know this?
How about we stop saying what and oh and just
Okay, so Rule 34 is Rule 34 is the posit out there on the internet that like any, I want to say, sexual interaction between certain cartoon characters or anything really,
at all, inanimate,
anything
real,
and
unreal,
anything else
doesn't matter.
It's being
exists.
Oh,
It exists like in like some type of like an illustrated
I've never heard of
cartoon
this before.
form.
See,
Yeah.
now we just sent him down the dirty rabbit hole, because he's going to be real busy for a while.
You're gonna want to open up that incognito browser
Yeah,
later when you
and
get
don't
home.
start with this
Yeah,
show.
it's my own laptop. What am I hiding from myself?
You shame.
Don't have any shit. Masturbate to a mirror. All right, so.
Hey, that's a cheap option.
Oh.
Oh man. So
That actually happens in episode 5 of Jayce and the Wheeled Warriors, just to bring it back around.
It's a real long episode.
Yeah, it is.
I supposed to build to that. That's the other
Tantric shit.
Yeah. You think they'd lead off with that to get the viewers, and then go back to the first fucking episode.
Like, yeah, we know what kids want.
Yeah, you think you draw them in, like, hey mom, this guy's masturbating in a mirror. Can't wait to see what happens next.
We should buy the toys, honey.
We should buy their toys.
Let's immediately go to Toys R Us.
All the toys vibrate. Isn't that neat?
The action masturbation set from Jayce and the Wood Warriors.
Oh, look, honey, we can play together.
Yeah. Oh no.
I love the idea of Mattel's action masturbator. Mattel's action masturbator.
With Kung Fu grip.
Oh dear.
It's-
Now I know why Sean bought all those toys. Okay, now we're good.
Oof. Yikes.
And he can't find them. Wink.
They're at his mom's house.
Now we know what.
Oh no.
Don't bring my mom into this. Oh, boy. All right, so Audric, Jayce's dad, develops some type of a root that can actually destroy the monster mines, and from the looks of this, they're pretty much like taking over a majority of the solar system, the surrounding planets, with the intent to take over the universe. And I mean, from these episodes, they're doing a pretty good job.
They're doing a real good job. I don't know the science behind it, but they've stumbled upon some fantastic science that combines like botany and space engineering and spacecraft, and they can combine like plants and metal and teleportation. I don't know, the power of the black light, whatever that is. I thought that was like a rave kind of thing, but apparently no. That's how these guys like teleport and transport their creepy vines all over the place.
Can I stop you? Because when you said the power of the black light, Sean tried to sneak a glance stare at me, thinking that this was not going to get brought up, but I'm calling him out on the podcast. I don't know what the power of the black light is either, Sean.
I don't know what it is either, Jamal.
Don't look at me.
Just don't look at me.
In a perplexing way.
Was Sean looking to you for answers? Is that what he was doing?
Yes, he was looking at me like, Jamal.
I thought I'm going to look at Tony now and be like, Tony, do you have any idea what it is?
But he didn't look at Tony.
He didn't make it to Tony, huh? He didn't make it over there. Surprise,
I
surprise.
called out.
I am pasty white.
Oh. And so the idea behind this, which never gets resolved, is that Jayce needs to find Audric, and so they can.
Apparently Audric
these amulets, these necklaces. He
like cut the root in half or some weird shit, and then it was just like, here. And who did he give it to? Your little buddy, who I'm assuming is your favorite character.
Look like a little yin yang, like, and they both have the opposite side of it.
Can I say this is two mistakes he's made now. One, instead of keeping the root completely to himself, and just not trying to save the planet, the world. He could have. The world was fine. He said, "You know what? I can make it better." And then this happens, and then he cuts it in half and gives it to his friend, to his son, and now the son has to go on a journey. If he gave it to the robot, why didn't he just keep the robot and say, like, the robot should like send it to someone?
Yeah, or just keep the whole fucking root and live to fight another day. What are you doing? Why'd you abandon your son to begin with, too? That's a whole nother thing. Like, where the hell was he?
Yeah.
I don't know, this whole show.
If I've learned one thing from a lot of these cartoons, is that space dads are shitty dads.
Space dads are shitty dads.
Space dads are shitty dads. They're always just like, I got a jetpack or spaceship out of here, and you're just like, Dad, no. And they never call.
The first thing I thought when I saw Jayce was, is this Rogue's brother?
Yeah, he's got...
Is this her long-lost brother?
I thought it was... I thought Jayce grew up to be John Henson from Talk Soup. I just kind of assumed.
Nice.
He grew up with that little skunk spot there. But yeah, I don't
know. That was one of those things that looked... It reminded me of Thundercats.
It did.
There are so many little things in this show that are just... It's like you tried to take pop culture at that point in time, stick it into a blender, and come out with something, but you just didn't leave the blender on long enough. So there's large fragments of things.
Just chunky stuff floating around. Yeah. No, I mean definitely the little. What's the little knight's name? Can't think of his name right now. The little guy.
Oon.
Yeah, Oon. Who's this little bobblehead knight?
I did describe him as Wind-Up Knight and Midget at a Ren Fair, but his name is Oon, and that's O-O-N.
And he's basically it's Orko, right, from He-Man? Was the little floating wizard that would float around?
Like as an annoying ground-bound knight.
Ground-bound knight.
Ground-bound.
Yeah.
Ground-pound.
Ground-pound knight.
Well, and you've got Herc Storm Sailor, who is basically Han Solo and Luke Skywalker wrapped
110%.
into
Yeah.
one guy.
Yeah.
And like King Midas, a little bit of King Midas in there.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
for shits and giggles.
But like, okay, so I'm curious, like, what do you think? Because I mean, this show is clearly poaching
Everything.
from everything.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think this show I mean, like, Matchbox cars were popular at this time. G.I. Joes were popular at this time. Transformers were popular at this time. Like,
What was the little
Star
girl in
Wars.
reference to?
Just annoying little sisters.
No, I mean she reminded me. Yeah, she was
popular at the time.
Kelly, are you
popular at the
listening?
time. Little Punky Brewster.
So relatable.
She was the ground. Like,
Yeah.
She grabbed it.
She grounded.
She grounded the show. She was a plant, by the way. She was a fucking plant, ladies and gentlemen. She's not like Jayce's sister or like any other kind of like human being character on the show. She's a plant. She's a psychic plant girl.
Who has a flying fish?
Yeah, which is never explained. Flying fish
Yeah.
with a seatbelt just like grown into its back.
I'm gonna say though, like,
What you gonna say?
I want a flying fish now after watching.
Who doesn't?
This. Like, there wasn't a part of me that was just like, why don't I have a flying fish? Like, right
I
now?
want a
And
ground-based robot.
I
to
want
be honest with you.
you want a ground-based.
I want a
robot.
ground-based magnetic held-together robot. Yeah.
I don't want that flying fish, and I'm gonna bring this back because last time I was on, I wound up talking about Foley and sound effects
Yeah.
and stuff like that. The fish, its noise that
Oh,
it made,
man.
it started out chirping like a bird, and then the second episode was just these little muffled sounds. And then by the time we got to the third episode, it is basically two balloons being rubbed
Yeah,
together.
constantly.
That they were getting for the
That's
sound.
exactly what it is.
And there are whole lines of dialogue for this fish, like trying to explain what's
For
going on.
It's the lassie.
It's the characters like
What? Jayce is where?
I can just imagine some guy in the sound booth just vigorously rubbing two balloons together.
And then he goes, "Yeah, that's good. That's a good take."
No,
Yeah.
I need more anger. Can you give me just a little more anger?
What a name for a flying fish, though. Brock. It's probably like the toughest name on this show, and it's a fucking flying fish. Everybody else is like Jayce,
Just call the fish,
Flora.
like, Muscles McPunch. And like, you'd be like, yeah,
Something.
fuck it, that's perfect.
Anything.
No, that's Street Sharks.
That was Street Sharks. I tried to forget about that show. Bringing it back.
Oh, it's the reason to drink. I could forget about that shit.
Oh.
But yeah, so I mean, you have. So I mean, we talked about Jayce.
Yeah.
You know, just.
I mean, kind of. We just talked about his hair.
Yeah, I mean,
really.
to jump into
That's-
the characters,
yeah.
like Jayce, is like he is, like, at his like this is really a story of trying to get a petulant,
Yeah.
just asshole to.
He's a kid. He's a teenage kid.
Yeah,
He's
yeah. I
spoiled.
mean, the kids are assholes. Like, I just like I want like he is a petulant child who's trying to come into his own without his father, without his guidance, and so
Look,
like, you know,
he's
got,
Luke Skywalker.
yeah. I mean, you know, he's really he's trying to build and understand what it is to become a man. But but the way you're introduced to him, there are like these moments where he's just like, Gillian, make a space barge, and Gillian's like, I don't know where you fucking think I'm gonna get these parts, asshole. Like,
Well, let's.
You're a wizard, right?
yeah, wizard it up. He fucking wands it out of the sky.
He's like,
But I
made
want to
all
go to
these
Taji
things.
Station and get some power converters. I waited for him to say that line because it was just straight out of Star Wars.
Yeah. I mean, there's just a lot of moments where he's just he's very entitled. You know, he wants these things and he wants them now. He wants to understand how, like, some of the things that like his father would have used in order
Right.
to combat the monster minds, are now his. And this is, I wrote this line down because this is probably my favorite line, is that Gillian has just told him that one of the vehicles called Armed Force.
Right.
That's the main vehicle.
That's
the
the
main
main one.
vehicle,
Yeah,
yes.
the hero
Jace's
vehicle.
Yes.
preferred vehicle.
Yep.
Called Armed Force.
Armed
Yes.
Force.
Armed Force. So Armed Force now belongs to Jayce, and this is communicated to him from Gillian. And Jayce just goes, mine. Armed Force is mine. Like he had just figured out what the fuck, like, the definition for mine is. Like,
Yeah.
it was the first, like, he had just learned that word. And he
It was like his first ever possession.
yeah, I was just like,
It's
oh my
mine.
God, it's mine.
All
I own
mine.
property.
Oh God, it was just.
Well, now here's my favorite part, and I want to talk about Gillian too before we get too far away from the characters. But just to give you an idea of like Jace's kind of mindset, yes, Gillian, who's kind of like his protector, his mentor.
Oh, you're referring to Merlin MacGyver.
Yeah, or Ben Kenobi, whatever you want to call him. I mean, he's just that character. So he's the old, magically powerful mentor character. So whatever you want to call him, because he's just pretty much stock at this point. But I love the fact he gives Jayce armed force. So he gives him this car, this like souped up hot rod war vehicle. The first thing Jayce does almost runs him the fuck over when he takes this thing for a joyride. And he's just like, whoa! I love that though, that he was just like, yeah, fuck yeah, get out of the way! And just runs him down. So that gives you an idea of Jayce's kind of mindset at this point. Yeah, we've talked about, so we don't know a whole lot about Audric. Yeah.
Well, I do want to say one of the things that we missed about Jayce is that he has this ring of.
Don't even get me started on this damn ring.
He has this ring of light, and it is his get out of jail free.
It's
card.
Deus Ex Machina.
It's Deus Ex
exactly.
Machina.
That's all it is.
I mean, every time, like, so the whole thing is that like this ring was given to like a group of people called the Lightning League.
Of course.
Like, man, what a great name.
It was an arena football team to start, and then
gave the Justice League a run for its money.
yeah, that's right.
And what was it? The ring that he has is I guess like the ring of leadership.
Sure. Yeah.
And so he says it in the pilot episode. He's like, I have the ring of leadership. It was like, oh my god, like you're just getting, this is like Christmas for you. You were just hand over fist getting, like, you're getting battle things, like you're getting like nice bling,
He's got
like
a squadron. He's not got a ring.
Squad's on point, everything's like ready. Everything's fire. Everything's coming up Jayce at this point. Like, I mean, it's pretty cool. So
yeah, just get a little bit of hair dye and he's good to go.
Yeah, no, God. But so we should say like the person who is funneling all of this material possessions to Jayce is Gillian,
right?
This wizard, and so he's
Merlin, Kenobi, MacGyver, like Danny said. Yeah.
But Dave, I believe you were mentioning like we don't really know that much about Audric. We kind of only see him like in a couple flashbacks.
Yeah, that's pretty much all it is, and I like the way that they did the flashback actually. So the whole series kind of starts off with Un. So it starts off with this little knight character, this little robot knight character, and the monster minds are chasing him. Well, Un eventually kind of like crash lands into the midst of Jayce and Gillian and the other ones, and he just kind of like flies apart. Well, they put him back together, and Un starts to tell the story, and then Gillian kind of touches him and touches his head, and
so he's like telling the story like through onomatopoeia. He's like,
yeah, he's been a little,
and then a bang, and
this little energetic asshole.
Yeah.
But then they come back and they have like a nice little exposition sequence where they tell the audience, okay, here's our origin story, here's what happened. And that's when they show Audric and his creation of the monster minds, his inadvertent creation of the monster minds, which look like, if you guys are familiar with like Dragon Ball Z, they look like the Cybermen characters, like the little plant creatures with the big cabbage heads. That's kind of what they
and
look
the snake
like.
eyes and
and like the clawed hands and all that kind of stuff before they turn into vehicle plant things, which I still don't understand, but whatever.
And they have spinning saws, which is
wheels and spinning saws, which is not things you tend to find in nature, but what are you gonna do? This is Jayce and the Wheeled Warriors. Did we miss
I really
it?
think that I think the toys were designed just by somebody that like left the GI Joe vehicle sitting on the counter and then knocked their plant over on top of it.
And they were like, wait a minute, don't move it.
Yeah, right. It was probably like one of their kids playing with the thing, and they left it out in the rain in like a patch of dirt somewhere, and just started sprouting flowers. Like, that's it.
You wouldn't touch anything.
This could be it.
That's my $1 million idea. It did not work, surprisingly. You'd think you could sell.
What is it? The GI Joe, like the Sergeant Slaughter vehicle.
Oh yeah.
The camo netting or whatever. No, this is if you took Swamp Thing and gave him the powers of Turbo Teen. That is this show. No one ever asked for that, but we got it thanks to Jayce and the Wheeled Warriors. Ooh.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good. Do we want to talk about the actual episodes now, or do you want to?
Well, I mean, so we mentioned Flora, who is like part plant. We mentioned Herc Storm Sailor as being
all Han Solo. Yeah,
just all Han Solo through and through and through.
I mean, even down to the point that he shows up at this place with a more or less a cargo ship, and then rescues the old man, the wannabe warrior and his goofy sidekicks. Like
Yeah.
it's straight out of Star Wars.
So I mean, I don't know if we want to get into the monster minds.
Yeah, I mean the only one I ever got from that was Sawboss.
Exactly.
And I had to look it up to go. It can't really be Saw. It's fucking
Yeah,
Sawboss.
it's fucking Sawboss.
Okay, that's his name. The other thing I wanted to jump into, if we can, before is just the art style
Sure.
on this. I did not believe the performance of any of these cartoon actors.
Ooh.
Because in every single scene, no matter what perilous thing was going on,
Calm.
they all have this. They have this Mona Lisa smile going on all
Super
the
calm.
time. I think my favorite one was in the third episode where there's a part where and I'm ruining it for you, but it's okay.
No worries.
No, don't
The show
worry.
was
You're
ruined to
ruining
begin
it.
with.
So
We're
ruined,
saving
but-
you.
But he, so Herc Stormsailor is flying away, and they've left Gillian kind of trapped, and everybody else is like, no, we need to go back, and Herc just kind of looks straight ahead and he goes, no kid, he's gone. And he's got this sly
Yeah.
little smile on his face, and then the camera slowly pulls in
Yeah.
as if we're looking for emotion in there. It's just kind of like, yep, I'm right.
And I gotta tell you what, from that exact same episode and almost the exact same scene, there's a part where who is it? It's Jayce and Flora, and they're back kind of like on the ground still. It's before they get up with Herc, and Gillian has just disappeared, and Sawboss actually teleports his entire kind of technodrome looking thing. He teleports right to where they are. Okay, so he's the big bad, and they've got to defeat him at some point, but they got to get their dad first, find the other half of the route. What the fuck, whatever. So Sawboss shows up, and Flora's like, "Oh my God, Sawboss is here." And Jayce just kind of looks at her, and he's just like, "Well, we should probably get back to the ship." Like, no reaction, no emotion, no concern. He's just like, "Oh, how about that? Well, we should get back to the ship." I think he literally says, "Well, anyway." Like,
Enough of your sensory powers. Let's get on to the
oh
ship.
my God.
Moving along.
Yeah. But yeah, Sawboss is, I don't know. How do you feel about him? I kind of want to hear how people feel about Sawboss. His style, does he have the style, you know?
I mean, he has no reasoning for anything. He's just a bad to be bad type character. I don't understand why he wants to destroy everybody.
Sure.
But that's the thing with cartoons. There was just
Actually-
kind of an implicit understanding that the bad guy is bad and the good guys are good.
I actually prefer a bad guy who just wants to kill everything and has no reasoning. Just
Really?
wants to destroy, like the Joker. Like,
Okay.
I prefer that, the bad guy. That way it's easier to hate him. Because once he starts getting to like principles, then it's like, oh, it's kind of human. I want him to be.
Some men just want to watch the world burn.
Yeah. Or just smother it with vines.
Yeah.
Either one.
And then throw a match.
I think my favorite part very early on about Sawboss was that so when they're following I keep wanting to say Wind Up Night when they're following Un and he crash lands in there, and then all of the other masterminds are kind of swarming the bubble that they're in.
Right. Of light.
And
The
they're
bubble
just
of
like
light
the
that
bubble
only
of
lets
light.
good in and keeps evil out, because that's how this works.
Then how'd his hairstyle get in?
Exactly.
That's what you're gonna hate on. That's what your fashion choices in this show are. What you're gonna say.
I noticed right away. I was like, did they model all the outfits after a concert for Prince? 'Cause all of these characters are wearing this androgynous clothing.
I was actually noticing. So Sean has a Skeletor that hangs out in here when we're recording this, and I was noticing that the outfit that Skeletor is wearing is basically the exact same thing that Sawboss is
Oh
wearing.
yeah.
So it's kind of like it
It's like
looks
an S&M chic.
Yeah.
It's an S&M strappy gimp suit.
Yeah, there's a lot ported over from He-Man. I mean, just character-wise, story-wise, maybe not the artistic style-wise, but yeah, there's a lot of it kind of ported over. It's a weird blend of just everything from the early 80s, early mid-80s.
Because because Tony and I were talking about this earlier.
Yeah.
We were just so this came out in '85,
Right.
so production probably went into place around '83.
Mhm.
Like
Which was
they
great
were-
when G.I. Joe was doing its first initial run was in '83. Because I mean these things, as terrible as the animation is, it takes a while to put that together back then.
Right,
Yeah.
especially 65 episodes worth, yeah.
Yeah, I mean they didn't have South Park's method of turning it around in 6 days. Everything's done over a long haul, and I'm trying to figure out where the American French thing was, if this was done kind of in both languages simultaneously. So it has because there were some things in there that just felt like
the voice tracking.
Like the voice tracking was just forced English dialogue over what was probably like an original French line. It feels like anime like that.
There was a cutaway at one of the episodes. I think it was the third one, where it was like this extended pause, and I was like, "What?"
Like, what? Is this a dramatic moment? What is this?
An extended pause, and then the camera shot in, and shot back. I was like, "What was that? What was that for?" Maybe it was for the dialogue.
Now there was a French language version of the show, and it was titled Jayce and the Conquerors of Light. So that was the French version of this show.
The title was better.
I mean, yeah, until you think about it, and you're like, wait a minute, why would you want to conquer light, though? I mean, unless, I don't know what they're
honestly doing. When I heard Wheeled Warriors, without, sight unseen on this show,
yep, I know it's coming.
I thought it was going to be about a bunch of guys in wheelchairs. Because it sounded like one of those, like, early 90s type, just
like a rollerball team, yeah.
Empowerment shows.
I think the only wheelchair character we've talked about so far has been from Extreme Ghostbusters, and that's actually really disappointing. That's it.
I feel like there's more.
Yeah, I just don't think we've talked about them. I don't think we've gotten to the shows yet.
I'm looking forward to getting to those shows.
I mean, Professor X is like obviously the most famous one I can think of, but that's it. Is there one in Rocket Power, that Nicktoon that we might talk about next year?
I
feel like there's a kid in a wheelchair.
I'm gonna say maybe.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what. I mean, if he's not a main character, then I feel like it's one of those like PSA lessons learned not to be a dick to people episodes.
It might be. I wonder if Jayce
fine.
has a drug episode. Do you think?
No.
You don't think so? The whole thing is a drug episode.
Well, I mean, like I think
that second episode was
maybe
kind
that
of
was
a
a
drug
drug
episode.
Yeah.
With
the helmet
that he had to try and resist.
Yeah, the helmet was talking to him like drugs talk to a user, like heroin calls to you.
Yeah, it's like, I'm too tired. Yes, too tired to resist.
Yes, too tired. See,
once I have your body.
Yeah, so Sean and I were talking offline that I think this helmet is possessed by the ghost of a rapist, because this guy
Really
was just super
really
creepy
was
and
creepy.
just constant. Man, he would not give up.
When he turned around to look at Un, when he came in on him in the middle of the night when he was about to put the helmet on, like that look in his eye, it was very much like, I'm gonna fuck your little helmet off.
And then later in the episode, he does in front of a mirror. It's the weirdest thing.
Dave with a callback.
Yeah, I try. I'm learning from Sean here every once in a while.
You're doing a good job.
I'm doing it. Well, that's good. I keep paying you so much for these lessons.
Yeah, man.
Hey.
Get it. So I guess just in terms of, because these monster minds are just, so we should just say that they are like these organic. So like Sawboss is really the only one that you see consistently in like sort of a humanoid form.
Yeah, and not getting murdered constantly, because the rest of them are just blown up left and right.
Yeah, which is actually weird, because like when I watched this, I was like, oh god, like do they each have like different personalities?
That's what
like,
I thought at first.
Are they actual like consistent things that come like episode to episode? And I was like, if so, that means there's only like he's only got like a battle force of like 5 or 6 guys.
Right.
So I read up on this, and supposedly I spent some time actually reading about the show. I found out that apparently in later episodes, yeah, I know, right? In later episodes, they explain that basically each one of the other guys, the baddies, they have the ability to basically clone themselves multiple times over, but only operate just in the vehicle form there. So there is, because in the last episode there is a scene where you see one of the other guys in like its walking around humanoid form.
Right.
But then you see him as a vehicle on like the other planet, however many light years away. Okay. And so it's the idea that, but each of them only controls their clone type. So it's still the 5 guys kind of supporting Sawboss, but they're all idiots. And so they crash into one another, and they get out of my way and bump it. It's a big cockfight between a bunch of idiot vehicles.
Yeah, it's another example of a show where it's not because the heroes are so clever and so good at their job. It's because the villains are terrible and they can't get along together. So they end up defeating themselves most times, and the good guys are just there to get in the way enough to prevent anything bad from happening. It's just one of those things.
So in this first episode, there's this moment where where Un has just like crashed into this bubble of light.
Yeah, and this one's called Escape from the Garden of Evil, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm just looking up the Bible now too. So so Un crashes in, and Jayce puts them together. You get the backstory, and the masterminds are outside and are just like, "You can't find him, boss." And so Saw Boss is just like, he's like, "Guess I'll have to do everything myself." And so he telepathically like scans the area, and there's I just want to pause and just say, there's a giant fucking bubble of light in the middle of your
that you
fucking
can't
planet,
get through, and that keeps blowing up your cars when they land on it. It might be something to take notice of.
He literally just goes, "Stop. This is where they must be." I'm like, are you fucking in the most goddamn obvious place in the fucking world, you idiot?
Well, that just shows how retarded the rest of them are if he has to stop and be like, "Okay, guys, let's focus here." They're probably in that light bubble thing.
I was losing my mind when I said that. I'm like, oh my god, the people that you're searching for, they're in a bubble in the middle of your planet. You have tentacles you have vines that are growing over top of this bubble.
Yeah, can't you feel it?
Yeah,
can't
like
you
what?
sense it? You literally are the planet.
This is poor human resources.
There is no logic to this show whatsoever. We've got skunk-haired teenagers that are just given like all these crazy powers. We've got plant creature humanoids that turn into vehicles with spinning blades at the drop of a hat. I really want to focus on this ring of his because
let's get into this.
I mean, pick one of your favorite powers that it has because it can do anything. Whatever you want it to do.
Turning him into a playing card.
Oh my god, that cracked me up to no end. Set that up for the people because it's hilarious when it happens, but there's a reason like it makes it even more absurd. It's just like the way he gets into that.
And it's just like, use your power ring. And he's like, okay, ring. And like, I don't even know what he says, but he just says the name of the ring.
Yeah.
And he all of a sudden like morphs into this. He looks like Han Solo frozen in carbonite.
Yeah, frozen in carbonite, exactly.
And just starts whipping around and just chopping through all the vines because that's the only method of retaining anything in this show that they have is these green vines that just grow out and snatch on something. Yeah.
There was like 2 seconds where I was like, wait, are they selling me vehicles or is this a card game?
Is this now a card game? Is this a collectible card?
What am I
Get your
buying?
own sparkly Jayce? Yeah.
Wait, was this the first Yu-Gi-Oh? Is that what we're going with?
He's the most powerful monster in the deck.
Oh god,
The Jayce.
no, and that was great. And it's just, it is such a Deus Ex Machina just because it just fucking pulls this ring out at the last second in every single episode, and it's the thing that saves everybody.
Well, look, and this one was like he was falling from a height. I forget exactly why that happened, but he was falling to the ground. He was going to die. Nobody else was going to save him, even though he's got five.
He was in the
vehicles.
blaster. The only time we ever actually see a blaster hit anything in this entire goddamn show.
Exactly.
Is one of the bad guys manages to hit the little blaster thing that he pops out the top of the ship with, and so it blows up the front of it. And then he swings the door open and just like dives outside.
And he's got 4 other vehicles at this point that none of them can save him, apparently. He's got a wizard on the ground. He's got a pilot elsewhere.
And
he goes to his ring.
He's apparently far enough above the ground that he can have a complete conversation with somebody before he hits the bottom of it going, you should use your power ring. Oh, right. Go, ring.
And then turns me into a baseball card. What a fucking... Of all the things for that thing to do... Oh my god.
Can we please read the stats on the back of that card?
I'd love to.
Intelligence -10. Strength 2.
What the hell else does it do though? Like even in the intro, we didn't really talk about the intro to this one, but even in the intro they show him using that ring for something completely different. Do you remember that part?
Yeah. No,
I didn't see that one.
Okay, so it's like this chase between the 2 sets of vehicles, and Jayce is in his armed force, and he's about to get stomped on by one of the Monster Mind's bigger vehicles, and he's just like, well, fuck, and he just points the ring at this thing, and it shoots out this beam of white light that just completely flips the giant monster vehicle over and keeps it from crushing him. So it's also got that power, apparently. So we got baseball card, and we've got like laser cannon.
And so in the first episode, Gillian basically is the one that causes this to be a Deus Ex Machina out of all this, because the one thing he says to him is that we should not fight unless you're absolutely forced.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm like, you have the fucking trump card.
Again,
right.
Star Wars.
Yeah.
The Jedi code is now in order for Jayce.
But it's like you have the trump card that can beat fucking everything every single time, and you wind up using it all the time. Why don't you just take care of him one time? I mean,
not even that. I would just been like, hey Ring, take me to my dad.
Yeah, let's go see my dad and
Hey,
get this
Ring,
root
get my
and
dad-
be done
hey,
with this.
get my derelict dad over here immediately.
Or Saw Boss is here. Give me the other half of the root
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Send it to me.
Or hey, guess what, Ring? If you can do shit like turn me into a sharp-edged baseball card that flies through vines, how about you just destroy these fuckers and we don't need a root.
you guys-
Nobody needs a
What's
root.
wrong?
Yeah,
Do you think he turned into like, was it an upper deck, a Donruss, or like a Flair card?
I'm gonna say tops.
Or like
Wasn't
tops.
It's got to be tops.
Tops?
It's got to be
Alright.
like a lower level.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
It
gotta
makes
be
sense
tops.
they would have a shitty piece of gum with it.
Yeah, it would. Bazooka Joe.
Super Joe shit.
Oh my god.
But
What
yeah,
else
I
did
mean,
it do though? Weren't there other powers that it did?
If you're given an ancient evil helmet,
Yes.
It'll stave off evil.
Sort of. It'll separate you from the evil, and it'll make that evil stronger. Apparently, that was fun.
I mean, like
Till
for
it
like
falls
a
apart.
moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, until it falls apart. Yeah.
And it will also apparently cause earthquakes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was
Yeah.
my last trick.
Which was a cop out in that last episode. Oh my god! I was like, oh, they're actually gonna fight, maybe.
Nope.
No.
Yeah, it's earthquake time.
It's time to get out of here. Let me teleport.
No, I do love that though, because Sawboss is just like, oh, the Earth appears to be shaking a bit. Let's get the fuck out. It's like, of all the things you did, you teleported the Technodrome here. You outnumber them. You got everything here.
I did love the little transport effect for the Technodrome
Yeah.
thing when it flies. It looked like it was pulled straight from like Austin Powers style, completely 70s psychedelic.
Just missing
That's all these
that.
little swirling, brightly colored lines. And
Well,
then just-
see, I gotta turn this back over to Jamal now because he mentioned it at our intro. This is the power of the black light, and I want to hear his 2 cents on this.
I don't know what the power of the black light.
Oh, I thought you had a theory on it.
No, I
It's
didn't
not like
have
it's
it.
not like a black light where you like you
Where
go
you
like
check
a party and you
Yeah,
turn
you
on
just-
the black light. And you
Just
see
paint
how
everything
much
in like UV paint.
all disgustingness that's in your little Marriott.
I'm not inviting these roots here anymore.
Sean, you gotta be careful with these brand names. You're never gonna get a sponsor.
Today's episode is brought to you by disappointment.
Each and every week here on Saturday Morning Cartoons. Oh no. This show was I didn't have high hopes because I had no clue what was going on, and honestly from the intro I knew it was just going to be a complete mess, so I was just looking for a good time, and I somehow watched an hour and a half of this series.
Yeah,
Did you just equate the show to picking up a hooker?
Yeah, I'm just looking for a good time, Jayce. Flora.
Hour and a half later, you want any more? Nah.
That's it.
I'm
I'm
good.
spent.
How much do I owe you?
Yeah.
Can I just pay to leave?
My
Yeah,
favorite,
right.
my favorite part of this was in the second episode where he's melting. They're like in
That was-
heat ray,
yes,
and it's
okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, he's standing there, and there's a back and forth of the camera towards the thing coming down, and
Yeah.
Jayce and the girl standing there for like a good.
No, it's Un. It's Un.
Ooh,
It's
okay.
He's
They're
there with
standing there, and it's just a back and forth, like looking at the at the thing coming down, looking at them, looking at the thing, looking at the
Like
thing.
they
No fear on the
No
face.
fear.
No.
A little sublime smile.
And then at the last minute, he's like, all right, let's go.
He's like, we've been here long enough.
That was
Let's
the
go.
point that what was it? That Han Solo,
Yeah.
Comes in.
Storm Sailor, uses the drilling car.
Yeah, the
from
drill
their
drill car. Yeah.
battle fleet, whatever.
Battle Fleet. What the hell show are you watching?
I don't know.
Breaks in, gets them, they leave.
Yeah.
And then when they're leaving, he's grabbing all.
He's
the
grabbing
parts.
all the pot. He's
Okay.
grabbing all the pot.
Okay, when they're dragging that, I'm
Yes.
like, come on, this looks ridiculous.
That was
You-
hysterical.
This is okay. So far, I've like on this planet, which I don't believe they specify what the planet is.
Nope.
But the only thing that I can think or imagine is that the pottery that is made on this planet, like fucking indestructible.
Yep.
Like they
Yeah.
are dropping
It's
it in
pretty solid.
wheelbarrows down a hole.
Yeah.
And like they get to like Jayce falls into that hole at some point in the episode, and he wakes up and he's just like, oh, and like there's just a mountain of unbroken fucking pots that are there. And then Herc drags a couple of those like gold pots back behind his vehicle.
I was gonna
because
say a
it's just, like,
couple. He's got a fucking net full.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's got a butt ton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a
fucking
cargo net full, and he's like pounding on the dashboard, like, "Come on, hurry the fuck up!" And I'm like,
Yeah,
"You were
and, like,
dragging
he's
metric
dragging them
tons
down the
behind you." Yeah.
street.
Yeah.
Like and they are in perfect condition.
And
they're
Jayce,
mint.
when they're about to leave with Jayce looks at him when he's getting in the car and he goes, "Come on, Herc, that's enough."
Yeah.
Shut up, Mom!
He's like, "I've allowed this to go on long enough.
I just want to
Save
point out.
me already."
I just want to point out that Hurt and his affinity for gold is it's like Cookie Monster. with
Yeah.
Cookie
It really
Monster.
is. He doesn't even you don't know what he wants to do with it. He just wants it.
He just ignores the conversation until somebody's like gold. He's like, gold?
Let's go back.
He's Monterey Jack
That's
from Rescue
thank
Rangers
you
with
so much. I
cheese.
was just about to say that. Him with the
Cheese.
cheddar.
or what was the stuff thing that Uncle Joey has on
The woodchuck.
Yeah, the witch.
Is that another girl?
I wish that would have been Herc's voice the entire time. The show would have been amazing.
Oh, good.
The voice artist who did Herc, it reminded me of whoever the main villain was for Cops.
Really, Big Boss?
Yeah, there was the moments where I heard where he kind of had like a big boss thing for like 30
He
seconds.
might have that little.
I don't know.
nasally
And
thing
every
going
once
on.
in a while, I was just like, somebody should really be doing a little bit better of a job of minding the P's and Q's in terms of these voice actors.
Yeah.
They're just changing.
Dude, I'll tell you what though, the mid '80s, what a great time to be in animation. I mean, just a great time.
I feel like, who was the writer that you mentioned had like
J.
submitted
Michael
the script?
Straczynski. Yeah.
So I feel like Straczynski
You got it.
was just like, here is a He-Man script, and I have like a hatchback full of cocaine.
Exactly, because that was every deal in the '80s. Yep.
You're in. Come on. How do you feel about G.I. Joe? How do you feel about Transformers?
He
Let's write 'em off.
produced 12 episodes?
12 episodes. Why don't we just make it 65?
Yeah, 65 sounds great.
Full
Let's go
season.
with that.
Give him a full season.
I gotta tell you this might be my favorite fact of the podcast. The drill car that you guys were talking about before, Sean.
Yeah.
It's named Drill Sergeant, by the way.
That's right.
Yeah, Drill Sergeant.
They're all horrible.
Oh, they're so bad.
Armed force.
It's the little like crane
Yep.
that's on. Like,
Yeah, it's just got this little crane thing on the top.
Okay, can I tell you? I'm gonna confess something. Every time Armed Force grappled with that snake, snapdragon, Venus flytrap looking thing, I cringed a little. Sock puppet looking green thing.
Yeah.
I cringed a little bit because it just looked so. There was something about it that was very painful, and I don't know what it was, but it was very disturbing to me when they
Well,
kind of.
you drive these two vehicles that obviously are armed up with like cannons on either side, and you let them get physically close enough that you could actually reach over and grab the other
And
one.
then just flip it over your head. Oh, they're so weird.
There was one where one of the vehicles is driving along, and it very obviously has two little cannons on either side of it, but it gets to a point where it needs to shoot something, and this little porthole door opens up in the front, and another cannon sinks out the middle, and that's the one that shoots. And I'm like, the fuck's wrong with
Tony,
the other
you
two?
can't just use your good ammo on anything. You gotta save those shells.
I love the decoy, the decoy ones on the sides. Actually, if you watch in the intro too, when Flora is driving one of them along, like this weird side door opens, a little like rocket-powered laser shoots out, and you think it's gonna like go after one of the other cars and like blow something up or home in and blow something up. No, it just goes to the roof of her car and just sits there, and just like reattaches to the roof of her car. I'm just like, who the fuck designed this?
with the hope and intention that it would blow her up.
Yeah.
Well, if it's to be believed, Gillian designed it because he can build anything.
That's true. He did build the original vehicles, yeah, and they are powered by light, which
I
yeah, good for him.
do want to say, like, for a little bit of a wizard, he's also like a significant trickster.
He's a shyster.
Yeah.
He's an
Yeah.
absolute shyster.
He
Pulls a
nonstop-
Gandalf in one of the episodes too, which I didn't see coming, but yeah.
Good thing I remember that spell.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, it's a Cobalt 49. Yep,
Yeah.
perfect specimen. But yeah, talk about the trickster. Yeah.
Yeah. No, but I mean, like, a lot of the way that they kind of get on board with Hork. Ren Hoek.
Hork.
The way that they get on board with Herc Storm Sailor is that so like Gillian like waves a magic wand and pulls his carrier down into their bubble of light.
Right.
I can't believe I'm saying this.
Yeah. You said that out loud.
And then he gives Herc the piece that he needs out of like the goodness of his heart, and then
Yeah, he needs something to fix his ship.
right, and then immediately they're just like, Jayce in a very
I
in
love
like
that
a very childish
exchange.
manner.
Yeah.
He just blurts out, he goes, "Take us with you." Just
And he's like, "Yeah, sure, kid. That's what I do."
It was so awkward. It's stifled. It's almost like a child like sitting there like in a kitchen and just like, "I want a cookie." And you're just like, "Yeah, I'll get you."
Yeah, if the price is right, I'll get you your fucking cookie for a room full of gold.
But Gillian like lies and says that he has like this entire room of gold, and he has magically turned lead into like a gold like substance.
They use that.
He's an alchemist.
Yeah, they use it twice.
They use it over and over again.
It's just
This is a little bit off the mark, but going back, there's a sequence where Jayce gets out of Armed Force. He's being chased. He gets out of Armed Force and is now running fast enough to outrun one of the roots. And he slides down the hill, and they both come around the corner, and he shoots him with the rocket. He's like, "Oh, I gotta make this count."
Yeah. This fucking bazooka with two of those.
It hits the ground around them. And that does the trick, apparently.
Yeah,
but I was like,
great shot.
Wait, you're running now? You're running faster than...
I feel like the cars are probably, they go about the speed of like a rascal scooter. So it's just like, it looks really good because they're all moving at the same speed.
Oh, okay.
But if you actually just get out and run, it's much more efficient. Just do it that way.
So
Especially the giant walking.
Yeah,
one.
right. The AT-AT. Yeah.
So I want to talk about one of the monster minds. The design of the character. It specifically looks like a beat up pickup truck. And all of them.
The old style one that has the eye.
Yeah,
like the
eye
teeth.
headlights.
That's exactly what it looks kind of like the truck from Cars.
Yeah.
But it's so everybody else has like these kind of like the eyes, or at least like where you would think that these monster minds are. Where they're looking, or like where they're. Because like the buzzsaw one kind of has like those like, it kind of looks like a lightning bolt down like the front, like his eyes and stuff. Like, so where you perceive there to be eyes on a lot of these monster mind vehicles, this like old style like pickup truck one has like the saddest like Eeyore looking eyes. It's just like, he's like, "Guys, I don't want to really be here.
There's a couple times
I don't want to really do this job. Guys, I just want to go home and just nap."
There's a couple times when he gets beat and his eyes turn red as if he's been high.
Or he's just crying the entire time. One of my favorite parts, I think, from these episodes was the way that they tried to end each episode in like the flattest, like forced humor. That like they'd say something just like so stupid, and everybody would just crack up, and it was just so painful. Unfortunately, I lost all my notes, so I can't remember any of the specifics.
I know one.
You got one?
Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Before you say it,
Okay.
you're gonna say it, and then we're gonna react like they do on the show.
Okay. Sounds great.
Okay.
This is gonna be great.
Is his name Herc? What's his name again?
Yeah, Herc.
Okay, they're
Hork,
flying
whatever you want to
off.
call him.
Whatever. They're flying away, and they go, "Oh, the next stop is a mountain full of gold." And he goes, "I'm done off gold."
Oh, Herc. Oh, you.
And then but then he goes, "Usually a mountain." I guess we could check it out.
Oh my god.
Herc.
That's what they do. They're
Every
like,
time. Oh,
I feel like
Herc.
it needs to end with like a little like piano interlude, like
Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba.
like.
Well, they had to end with something because it wasn't actually getting any kind of life
No.
lessons or anything like that from this damn
Which
show.
I appreciate that they didn't try to force that at all.
Oh no, I dare say they
Did
did
they? You
with
think so?
one specific line
Okay.
in the episode with the suit of armor that like overtakes him,
Right.
and they're like, you shouldn't go after the helmet, and he's like, but I really want to go after this helmet and go find it. And it's like, I don't think it's a very good idea. And so while Gillian's asleep, he goes to Herc and he's like, all right, we're going after the helmet. And Herc's like, okay. And then Gillian wakes up and comes in, and they're like, what's the kid's name?
Flora?
No, the guy.
Jayce?
Jayce, thank you.
Fucking title.
That's how great the show is.
No.
Tony and the Wheeled Warrior.
Tony and the Wheeled Ones.
It's called Herc and the Wheel, whatever.
Anyway,
Ooh.
but he turns back to him and he goes, "No, Gillian, we can turn back if you think we should now." And Gillian says something. He says, "Nope. Once the first step has been taken, the journey must be completed." Like, no,
Which
you can quit anything if it's a terrible idea.
that sounded like every pedophile's freedom.
Oh no.
Once the journey's been taken, we must complete it. We can't just not touch. We have to go
You're
for
already
it.
there. You got to see where this goes.
I already thought he was kind of pedophile. Like when he said that, I was like, "Yep, confirmed." Confirmed.
Well, he did. I mean, Flora was one of his creations. It was his and what's his name, Aldrich? Whatever. Who cares at this point? It was Flora was their
Audric.
creation. Audrich.
I forgot the main character whose name
I
is in
know,
the series, so I'm
it
not
happens.
faulting you at all.
Do you guys have anything else from this shit show? Anything else you want to talk about? I think we covered most of it. We warned our
I know
listeners
the
off
most
of it, I think.
nostalgic moment
Yeah.
for me. The most nostalgic moment was second episode again when they're running away, and then the net gets caught, and they're driving, and it's just clearly you could shoot this guy,
Yes,
and
just
no one's
obliterate
getting
him.
shot. And I was like, yeah, these are the cartoons. That
He's literally like the definition of fish in a barrel at that point. Like, it is a car in a narrow alley that is anchored by
Yeah.
pots of gold. What
And
a
he's
fucking
like,
who
goodbye,
wrote that?
gold.
Yeah, right. Poor guy. I hope Hurt gets his gold. I'm not gonna watch the show to find out, but I hope he gets it at some point.
Yeah, I don't really care.
I don't care.
Yeah, this would be like the worst torture in like Guantanamo.
Oh
Like, you guys
no!
are watching
Just
Jason the Wheel War.
Jayce
No,
on
not
loop.
again. Not again.
Not again.
I would tell you. Just don't make me watch. What is Gillian? He reminds me of my uncle. I cannot watch again.
So I'm gonna go to Jamal to ask if he recommends this one right after that.
Okay, well, here's the thing.
Yeah.
When I was watching this, right in my brain, I was asking myself, would I watch this as a kid? And I
Yes.
thought, only if it's the lead-in. Like, this is a show that's like a lead-in
Yeah.
to a show I really want to watch.
Right, like an early
Like, if
show.
I know Spider-Man's coming on next,
Right.
I'll watch this shit just so I don't miss the start of Spider-Man, because there's no DVR back then, so
Right.
you have to watch. I was like, but I'm not like waking up 7:30 a.m. Gotta catch Jayce and the Wheel Warriors. No, I'm not. I can't.
But you happen to roll out of bed a little bit early that morning, and you're just gonna suffer
Yeah,
through
I'm
it.
just gonna
Yeah, it's on.
This is like the
What
show.
else is on?
This-
Infomercials?
Yeah, this is like the show that you put on where you're just like, oh, I guess I'm gonna go get some corn.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you're like, I need background noise, so I'll put this on. No, I can't recommend it.
Five-year-old music. I'm gonna get some coffee.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
you
I
better
also
start
want
that
to say,
brew.
I'm happy that everyone like hated this. I'm not even lying. I was watching this and I was like, oh, I didn't know if you guys were like gonna be super pumped and happy
No.
about this.
It's surprisingly like we rarely are. It's very few and far between that we're super pumped.
We've had like 5 weeks of just like awesome cartoons that we've watched that were from like the
Nicktoons.
Nicktoons
Okay.
age, and so like there's nothing that grounds you to reality quicker than watching Jason fucking Wheel Warriors.
I'm not gonna lie. I was watching this and I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to put on a happy face.
Nope.
And
Nah, you can be real here.
I would have loved to have had you show up.
If you showed up-
and you were just like, no, I fucking hate this show.
Yeah.
I'm like, guys, this was a great show.
And I would have been like,
Right?
I would have been searching for something good to say. I would be like, quiet, like Jamal, you haven't spoken. I'm here. I'm
No,
participating.
I watched it.
human.
I totally watched it.
So I think it was like the first 5 minutes. I was like, oh, this is one of those. Huh?
Yep. An hour and a half of your life.
Oh.
You'll never get
Yeah.
it back.
So yeah, I can't recommend it.
All right, fair enough. Tony, how about yourself?
Fuck no.
Okay. Succinct, to the point. I like it.
I don't know how Jamal went through the whole diatribe leading up to. No, I can't honestly recommend. No, God, this was a steaming pile. I don't want to touch the series again.
That's pretty bad.
It was awful. I read enough about it to have a hint of a wonder of, well, how does this turn out? But now I've heard it was just cut short after the 65 episode run, and
Right.
no, I'm done. That's
You know what this was for
it.
me?
Never goes anywhere.
You know what this was for me? This was like the beginning of Dragon Ball GT.
Yeah,
That's what this was.
I
And
can
then
hear you on
I
that.
had to suffer through it to get to when he starts fighting the dragons.
Yeah.
Like, I had to suffer through this to get to a good show.
I hear you.
So you think there's a good show somewhere buried?
Ooh, I don't know. I don't
After
know if
the
I'd go
show
that
goes
far.
off.
Yeah, whatever was on after this show,
Yeah.
right?
I think that because we alluded to the fact that there was a movie, and
Yes.
Straczynski says that what would have happened was that Sawboss would have killed Jason's dad, and I was like, that's the fucking film I want to
Yeah.
watch.
Yeah,
Like,
they meet, they kind of like reunite, and then
That's
Saw
what I
Boss
like.
takes him out.
Please tell me. So does he cut off Jayce's hands and then Jayce just like blubbering cries and then falls
That's
off?
impossible.
Yeah.
That's exactly. It turns out that Saw Boss is his dad. No, I wish that actually happened. That'd be amazing. I don't think that happened.
The fact that the father never really shows up after that, and like you don't really see where Saw Boss.
That feels plausible.
It's possible. I mean,
Did his dad have the same hairstyle and color?
a little bit, yeah.
He did actually, yeah.
For Jayce, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, like Sawboss had like that like
Cabbage head.
nutsack on his.
I was gonna go PG and keep a cabbage head, but no, it's a
yeah,
nutsack.
no, we're explicit on iTunes.
It is a swollen, rancid nutsack.
Did you hear my review of the show?
Well, Sean, we got 2 no's. Do you recommend this one?
You know what? I will say it was fun, like owning several of the toys and having watched this on television.
Right.
It's always good to go back and kind of watch these things for me, and I was happy that I did it. I would definitely not recommend it. I will say though that I was surprised in the second episode that they made a C-3PO cameo,
Really?
like in a pile of heads. I don't know if you
I didn't see that. No.
Tony and I saw it. It was very Un looks over into a pile of like vases, and he sees a C-3PO head.
Oh, that must have been when I was looking away from the fucking screen. Going back to my life for a second.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. But then
More important things.
I think Dave, one of my favorite quotes from this was Herc, and you and I had kind of talked about it prior to the show, but it was just him just going, "My vases," so,
And then he released.
and then he releases them. It was so bad. It was so bad.
It was pretty bad. I'm with you guys. I can't recommend this whole series, but I would say at least check out the first episode just to see what we're talking about, just to get an idea of the insanity that's on this show, and then kind of give up after that because you really don't need to watch too much more. It's pretty nuts. I do want to say one final fact here. Since Sean told you about Straczynski's script for the movie that never actually made it into production, Straczynski actually had a tie to one of the other shows we talked about on this podcast. He developed a simple show called Spiral Zone.
Oh.
Yeah, but here's the good news. He left after one script when whatever his concept for the show was drastically altered, and it became what we covered on the show not too long ago, which was another steaming pile of mess. So, yeah, Spiral Zone and Straczynski. This poor guy. I hope he's doing better stuff these days. Spiral Zone and Jayce is just not cutting it.
Oof.
Yeah. What a downer.
God. All right. Hey, David.
Pick it back up.
Yeah. We'll go on a happier note.
Let's do that.
Hey, bud, where can what are you up to? What are you doing on
up to
the
these
internet?
days? Yeah, on the internet. Well, I don't know if you want to know
What
what
are you
I'm up
doing
to
on the
on the internet, but
I mean, like, what's up with your webcam?
Rule 34.
What's up with your webcam?
yeah. What's up with my webcam?
Yeah, what's up with your webcam?
Oh no, we're not talking about that.
Your sexy helmet webcam.
Sexyhelmet.com.
Once I have his body.
Yikes. Oh, so what am I actually doing instead of?
What are you actually doing? What are you actually like?
This is the longest lead into
Oh
the
my
plot.
god,
Yeah, it's not good.
I'm done. Hey, you guys can find me. I'm gonna be doing shows with my improv.
You dick.
He just bulldozed.
I don't give a shit. Oh man. You can find me. I'll be doing improv in DC in the Adams Morgan area at a little place called DCAC or DC Arts Center. I'll be performing there tonight, which is February 14th at 7:30. We're doing our improvised TED Talks, and you can find and purchase tickets at witdc.org. Just fair warning, the last bunch of shows have been sold out, so they've been a lot of fun. And then February 20th, I'll be performing in San Diego for the San Diego Improv Festival. You can find more information and you can buy tickets. We'll be performing Friday night, February 20th at, I believe, 8:30. And you can find out more about the San Diego Improv Festival at sdimprovfestival.com.
Very nice. And now that Sean's done with that, I'll do the cordial thing and ask our guests if they have anything they'd like to let the listeners know about. So, Jamal, since this is your first time here, anything you'd like to plug in the upcoming weeks?
I do.
Excellent.
For Black History Month.
Tell us about the Blacklight.
I'm going to research that. February 27th at the DC Arts Center, performing improv with special guests. You may have seen him on The Wire as D'Angelo Barksdale,
What?
and in The Walking Dead as Bob Stooker, whatever, the guy who has Bob Stooks, who has a drinking problem. It's going to be Lawrence. Wait, I forgot his name.
Yeah, Lawrence Gilliard.
Lawrence
Jr.
Gilliard is performing with a bunch of other colored folk who do improv in the vicinity, and we're going to be performing on 27th at 10 p.m. at the DC Arts Center. Tickets are available at februarybuddha.eventbrite.com, so come on out.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. Tell Lawrence I said hi and I liked his work.
All right, I will.
He'll have no idea what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Oh, he'll know.
Oh, he'll
I'll
know.
I'll just mention Jayce.
You just mentioned Jayce and the Wheeled Warriors and see what reaction you get.
Where can people find you on social media?
Oh, you can find me on social media at comicrelief.com. That's spelled CMICRELEAF 24/7.
Excellent.
At Sean's looking at me like,
I'm not.
you're fucking up my plug here.
I'm not doing anything.
Also, Jamal Newman on Facebook. I check that never.
Tony, what about you, sir? Anything coming up?
Just learned the dates for 48 Hour Film Festival at
Nice.
the beginning of May. We'll be producing a short film that I'm hoping the two gentlemen here sitting along with me will be assisting with.
Oh, Sean said he's out this year.
What?
Sean said he's...
Breaking news on the podcast.
Jamal just made me cry a little bit for a moment. So we'll be doing
black
that.
There it is. You found it.
Until then, you can find some more stuff of ours on youtube.com/uglyhollywood. Jamal is actually our head writer, so he's involved in that as well. And check us out on for Crowded Elevator for other short films on Vimeo, vimeo.com/Crowded Elevator.
Didn't you also have a YouTube account as well that you plugged last time?
Yeah, that was Ugly Hollywood.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I didn't hear.
youtube.com/Ugly Hollywood.
Excellent.
And then you can find me on social media. I'm on Twitter, Big Tony VT.
Awesome. Sean, where can the folks
So
find you
I'm-
on social media?
You can find me at Sean Paul Ellis on Twitter and Instagram. And Dave, I'm gonna toss it back over to you. David, where can I find you, and what are you up to these days?
Oh, hey, thanks for the toss. You can find me on Twitter at DrClawMD. You can also find me over at Collider.com, where I review such shows as Gotham, The Flash, Arrow, Walking Dead, and Constantine for its last couple of episodes. So, yeah, that'll be good times. Come check out our redesign, actually, on the site. I like it quite a bit. And we've also got a spin-off site. It's Collider.com/TV, where all my recaps will appear, and a lot of other TV news and entertainment info over there, Collider.com/TV. That's going to pretty much do it for us tonight. If you want to find out more about Saturday morning cartoons, you can head on over to our website, SaturdayMorningCartoons.com. Remember, that's morning with a U. You can head over to the Tumblr page that Sean is populating with all sorts of 80s and 90s cartoon craziness, SaturdayMorningCartoons.tumblr.com. Send us a tweet on Twitter at MorningTunes. Remember, that's morning with a U again. You can send us an email for show suggestions. Just drop a line and say hi. SaturdayMorningCartoons@gmail.com. You can also listen to us each and every week through iTunes and Stitcher. And yeah, just look for Saturday Morning Cartoons. Okay, so Sean mentioned this is going to be our Fortnight of Nights, or our Fortnightmare.
So this is your pick.
It is. This
This
could
is
be a
your
bad
pick.
one. I'll tell you what. I used to do this. I used to do this article over at Collider that was revisiting older properties that Hollywood should like pick up and reboot and adapt. They missed a lot of stuff. There's a lot out there that could be kind of like a resurgence. A lot of people wanted to see this show rebooted. I don't know why. I guess maybe we'll find out next week. It's Visionaries, Knights of the Magical Light. I don't even know what to tell you with this one. There are knights that have sort of like holograms in their chest that can project things out of them. That's the most I can tell you.
That sounds amazingly terrible.
It sounds really bad, and I think it's going to be
I think it's gonna be the worst.
awful. So we'll find out next
I
week.
don't know. Did you watch what we saw this week?
I did, unfortunately.
Can I say something also?
Absolutely.
On the YouTube comments, there was a bunch of people saying, "Now these were the cartoons, man. These were the."
I know.
They're like, cartoons today suck. I was like, are you guys watching this shit or just typing comments?
I love our listeners, though. Feel free to leave comments anytime. We're doing it for you. We actually mentioned earlier that we watch these shows so you don't have to. But hey, man, if you love it and you love reliving it with us, then you are more than welcome to join, post comments, and let us know. And please suggest some terrible shows in the future. We got a lot to get through, but we're always looking for more suggestions.
You can do good shows too. You can,
I was talking about Jayce on the YouTube.
Oh, the Jayce one's on Jayce.
Yeah.
No, people
those comments. They were like, "Oh man, these are the cartoons." Man.
People love Jayce. I love the one guy that's just like, "I love this cartoon as a kid." And people are like, like, wait a minute, this came out in like
so many
1985.
ethnicities that are going on right now. This is amazing.
I love this cartoon as a kid.
In Russia, we don't get cartoon except
No.
for Jayce and Will Warriors. I love.
Little strong message. Give to people of
I
Russia.
love this Herc character. He loved gold.
Just like me, my
Just like
entire family killed by masterminds.
I love that
Roots
Sean
of
keeps
every
calling them
class.
masterminds too. It's driving me crazy
Masterminds, gosh.
this entire time.
it's okay.
Oh boy.
We don't. No, it's not important.
None of this is
Hey,
important.
David, I'm gonna put Jamal on the spot.
Ooh, he's got our outro tonight.
I believe Jamal had like a tidbit or like a food for thought moment about Jayce and the Wheeled Warriors that he mentioned earlier, and I wanted to get that nugget because he wouldn't share it with Tony and I.
Saturday morning cartoons. Get that nugget. That's our new.
Get that nugget with Jamal Newman.
Yes.
Yeah, the nugget Sean's referring to is that I said you shouldn't watch this show dehydrated. That's the nugget he's referring to. So just for everyone out there,
Just ponder that.
just be liquidated.
Be liquidated. I love
Honestly, we need to.
I love that.
We need to take this out just like the cartoon would out. Could you just repeat that one more time? And
We'll laugh.
David,
We'll
Sean,
laugh.
let's just take this out just how the show went.
Okay. You're gonna watch this show. Don't be dehydrated.
Oh, Jamal. Oh, you. Thanks for listening.